Thank you. I'm going to introduce you, Lance. He forgot to say that I'm a Lance fan also. I'll introduce in English, but when you start to build and learn about how to build on Lance, you can ask me questions in Spanish. Puede me perguntar en español, yo no hablo muy bien español. Puede me fazer perguntas, que eu vou entender e tentar ajudar. But let's go. What is Lens? We're living right now in the age of the social network, so we use it a lot, and each social network demands that we create a profile, put data on it, and we have Twitter, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, and these data are not connected, which is a problem, you know. And also, the content we create are not our content, you know, it's the protocol platform content. If you create something on Instagram, your content is of Instagram, it's not yours. So this is a very, very huge problem, and we need to talk about social graph, okay? In a short, social graph is a global mapping. So if I follow Victor, if I follow Nader, this is a social graph. Basically, is a group, a mapping of group organizations that are related to each other in an online, social network. And why Lens is so necessary, and why decentralized social networks are so necessary. It's because the content recorded is on the blockchain and cannot be removed by third parties. And we live in Latin America. You already know about censorship a lot. God bless Latin America. We needed also to reunite, Latin America contents and all the contents, put it all together. And the content is stored in decentralized social graph protocols also, which is awesome. Content and audience reuse it is native. So we have Lens, we have this, or we have a lot of them. But today we are going to talk about Lens. I'm speaking very, very quickly because I want to talk about how profiles works and how follow works. Well, what is Lens protocol? The Lens protocol is a Web3 social graph on the Polygon network. I think everyone here knows Polygon. It is designed to empower creators to own the links between themselves and their community, forming a fully composable, user-owned social graph. So you can build on Lens. It is a social graph that you can build on top of it. How the profile works. So an NFT that contains the basic information of your profile, such as the handle. So who wants to follow me? I am danimin.lens. Image and description. Every post created by the profile owner becomes linked to it. So everything is kind of stored in an NFT, okay? Let me know if you guys want me to stop the presentation so you can read in Spanish also. And we have the collections. The past presentation was talking about it, which is amazing. You can monetize your content. You can do it. You can do music. You can do videos and good tweets, good content, and people can collect it. So you can monetize your art. You can monetize your content. I am a content producer, so this is very, very important to me. And follow, a bit different from how it works on Web2. Unless the followers receives a follow NFT. Which is very good. I always show my follow NFTs there, mainly if I follow a cool person, indicating that they follow another profile. So the profile owner can create rules that other profiles need to fulfill before being able to follow them. So you can create a community, a real community. It's not that you have an Instagram and you're talking about community, you're talking about followers, but it's not a community. You don't have rules, you don't have a way to connect it because it's not yours, indeed. Well, here's an image representing how data works, how apps are connected. I'm a heavy user of RB and Leinster. And we now are going to have V2, Lens V2, which is amazing. I read the article about it. You should do it. You should read the article about it because now you're going to build more and more with Lens. I'll let Nader talk about it later. And here, QR code to join waitlist. And also, we have PO-apps for all the attendees. So at the end, if you want PO-apps, we have created a very, very amazing PO-app. Meet me there at the door. I will be there with this. And you can mint your POAP that you attend this amazing workshop. Now we'll let Nader teach us how to build.
Awesome, thank you for that. That was a really great introduction. If you're not following her on social media, you're missing out, by the way. She's probably one of the funniest people that I follow. So Twitter, X, Lens, all of that. D-A-N-I-M?
Danimim, D-A-N-I-M-E-M-I-M. Yeah, I'm a beans, by the way. Or a cool cat, I don't remember. I'm sorry? Okay. It's Danimim. Okay, once again, if you have any questions and if you want to ask me in Spanish, you can do it. My Spanish is awkward, but I will understand, and I can potentially answer you in Spanish. So don't be afraid of it. Count on me.
Awesome, yeah. Thank you. So today I'm planning to do kind of like a coding live workshop thing, but I'm having a little bit of internet issues in installing some of the dependencies to kind of start that off. So we'll see if this npm install completes here, which I've had a few times that it has not, but if it does, we're going to code that. If not, I'm going to code something else using an app that I've already actually just built in the last maybe a day or so that I can kind of show you. But before I do that, I just want to show you this link here. It's going to a few resources. One of them is down here. It's my GitHub/David3. A lot of resources really there, but the one I want to talk about is the Lens Protocol Workshop, which will also show up with this link tree, which is a QR code that's going to bring you to the Lens documentation, the Lens grants, Lens developer resources, a handful of GitHub repos, stuff like that. So the thing I want to talk about before we dive into some code is focus around the developer experience. The developer experience, when it comes to like building in Web3, to me has been not that great, especially coming from the traditional tech world, where we have a lot of things that have been built over the last 30 years, really, right? Or ever since people started writing software, we've built better and better abstractions, but because Web3 and blockchain is so much newer relative to that, I don't think we weren't quite there yet, I guess, 2.5 years ago when I first started building in this space. So therefore, if I wanted to learn how to build a full stack application using Ethereum, there weren't a lot of really great libraries and resources and things for me to learn, and I had to piece things together. I think it's come a long way, though, since then. And one of the things that we've tried to double down on is just making that better with Lens. So if you're wanting to build an application, we want to make it as simple as possible by providing SDKs, example code bases, quick start guides, really high quality performant APIs. Because when you're building on blockchains, it's a lot more. A traditional database is just optimized for building performant applications. You have you can hit a SQL database and ask for, I want this collection of data and I want it sorted by this value. I want the first 10 results and I only want people that maybe live in this city, whatever. You can ask any of these queries, and as long as your data is there, then you can get it. But with blockchains, it's a lot more complicated. You have to index that data yourself, usually. You have to understand a lot of back-end design and complexity. Does all that for you. We index everything, and we offer a really high quality and performant client side that you can use that are basically built using GraphQL. So part of the developer experience is what I want to focus on today. What we have laid out so far right now are kind of these things that I would bucket as the main tools that people are using to build on Lens. We have the Lens API, which is a GraphQL API built on top of our Postgres database. We have, I think, maybe 40 or 50 different operations that you can now call queries and mutations. In GraphQL, that's like get and I guess, post requests in traditional REST. So queries would just be reading data. Mutations are kind of writing to the protocol. With the Lens API in GraphQL, though, it's more than just a regular API. You're actually able to query it like you would a database. So you can say, give me the publications sorted by this type of sort value. I only want the first 25, and I want to filter them by this, and I want them between this date range. All of those sorts of queries are available. So if you use something like Twitter, that's kind of what the Twitter API offers to the Twitter client, which is obviously the Twitter API sucks really bad right now, but if you use Twitter, the app, you can go to that search bar and you can get all types of different queries. You as a signed-in user are getting a different query than another person that's signed in, et cetera. So using our API, you can kind of build out those same types of queries. The SDK is built on top of the API. The SDK just makes it a lot easier to query all of that data, because if you don't know GraphQL and you don't want to learn GraphQL, the React SDK and the JavaScript SDK abstract all of that for you. So instead of a 50-line GraphQL query, you can hit the API with 2 lines of code, import the React SDK, and then call the React SDK. I'm going to show you how that looks in just a moment. We also have like UI elements, and we're going to be expanding these a lot more. For us to get into more web, more like end-to-end web UI libraries maybe. But now we have full UI kit for React Native, have a widget embed library for React. And using these, you can really just easily and quickly build applications and prototype stuff. Really great for hackathons and really great for prototypes, even rolling your first version of your app if you don't want to kind of redesign or design everything from scratch. With these, a lot of people are at hackathons and they're winning hackathons and they're getting grants, and then they're moving on to kind of maybe either use some of these components in their application once it launches, or they rewrite some of those components from scratch. We also have something that's been really, really, really popular, the Lens BigQuery dataset. This is allowing people to build out a lot of different things like dashboards, analytics, applications, and most exciting to me is recommendation algorithms. Because the BigQuery dataset allows you to mass query anything that's ever happened on the protocol and get that information back. So you can literally ask for every user that's ever signed up for Lens and get 100,000 results back. You can ask for every publication that's ever been posted that has an image in it, or whatever you want to ask. Pretty much it's there. Over 55 tables, I think, now available there. And it's just really great for doing any type of data science or analytics, machine learning, all types of stuff like that. And then DMs are like a big thing because most social apps need DMs. We have a shared, I would say, namespace on XMTP. Coinbase integrated this recently in the Coinbase wallet. So if you're using Coinbase, you can now send DMs from Coinbase wallet to any Lens app, also ENS and also Coinbase ID. Those are the 3 namespaces that they kind of support right now. And it's really simple to build DMs with XMTP and Lens. It takes literally 4 or 5 lines of code to kind of just get a basic example working. So with the Lens SDK, it looks something like this in terms of the actual like abstraction layer. We have the protocol, which is the smart contracts at the very base layer. We built the indexer and the API on top of that, and then the SDK sits on top of that. The API is very simple. We have, I forgot how many now. We have dozens, though, of different hooks now that you can use in React. You just import the hook, and then you invoke that, and it returns data, loading, and error. The error allows you to do error handling. Loading allows you to deal with loading state. And then the data is just the data that comes back. The React Native Lens UI kit has a very similar API. You just import the component, you render that. So this is literally 2 lines of code will build you, like scaffold you an entire app. You don't have to do anything, it's just there. But you can then take control over that by passing in props. You can change the design, you can change the query that's happening underneath, you can do all kinds of stuff just by passing in different arguments to that component. The Lens widgets and embeds are really great for integrating Lens features into other apps. So you might not be building a social app, you might be building a DeFi app, but you want to get some type of distribution there on a social graph of 100,000 Web3 users. You can then use something like a sign in with Lens or a share to Lens button. These, again, are about 2 lines of code. It looks just like that. You might import like a profile, which would look like this. So that's the profile. You render the profile. You pass in the profile a handle or ID, and you'll get that back. You can do a share to lens or sign in with lens button by importing that and then rendering it in a similar way. I talked about BigQuery and XMTP. I want to now show, let's see here. It looks like the installation worked. So before we build an app from scratch, I want to show you something that I built. I started building this in the last, I would say 36 hours maybe or so. This is a lens application that is using ShadCN, and I think I see some styling stuff that I'm not liking here. I'm not going to worry about that right now. But anyway, this is an example of just how you can like really quickly and easily build something with the abstractions that are available today. Because you have Wallet Connect, which is really, really simple to use now. The new V2 is actually really, really easy to get up and running with. So I use Wallet Connect. I use ShadCN, which allows you to do styling and theming and components without having to write any of your own code from scratch. They give you everything. And then I use the Lens React SDK, and they have basically those three things together just make it really simple. So here's just kind of an example of an application that you might be able to kind of kickstart. This renders a list of profiles using the Use Explore Profiles hook. It uses the publications query to query out publications. I've passed in my own filters to get the kind of algorithm that I want to have, and this is kind of what returned. This is from earlier today. You can click on a post or a profile, and you can open it in various Lens apps. So if this was on your phone, this would open the mobile app. If it's on your computer, it's going to open the desktop app of choice. Here, we might open this up in Lenster, and then we can kind of see this is on Lenster, and then we might share that and like that. And then we also have like different other types of feeds. So I created like a music feed. So here we can kind of see a list of music that's like coming back. And then you can also dive into the details for these publications on another social app. Obviously, if I had more time, I could build out more of that functionality within the app. So instead of clicking on here and taking you outside the app, you might be able to comment. But that's, a little bit more work. Let me think of what else here. Yeah, that's kind of the main things I wanted to show. I want to add like a choose your own custom recommendation algorithm, but we don't have that right now. But speaking of recommendation algorithms and talking about some of the things that people are building, something that Lenster added not too long ago is the ability to choose your own recommendation algorithm. So on Twitter, you have a change happen. You've built up 5 years of followers, and then they do something and you don't really like your feed anymore. It's kind of annoying, but there's really nothing you can do about it. You're just there. But with public data, people can build out multiple algorithms. So here, I'm able to like toggle on and off different algorithms that are available from this team called Karma 3 Labs, which is a team that's building a lot in the Lens ecosystem. It's a team that is like Facebook, and also like some of the people have gone to like Ivy League schools like Stanford and stuff, like really sharp team, and they're building out a lot of Web3 social, I would say, machine learning and recommendation algorithm stuff. So I can just say, okay, I want to have this algorithm and this algorithm available from them, and then I can just hop between different algorithms and get like different feeds of data. And that's kind of like, pretty cool to me. This is one quick example of something that you can do on Lens that you can't really do in traditional social. I was able to take 100 Matic and invest it in this post. Anyone that wants to mirror this post gets one of those Matic, but you have to meet certain criteria. And I used an application on Lens called zerf.social to determine like how to post this. I can say you have to have 750 followers and you have to be following me. And if you meet that criteria, then you can get one Matic by just clicking this button here. And this is a really cool way to bootstrap your following or just to bootstrap your network. So if you want to do marketing or something, you could do it this way. You could say, I'm announcing this new product. You put $50 here. You put a minimum of 1,500 followers. Do the math, you now have 75,000 or so distribution just by doing that. And then you also get a bunch of people to follow you. Question? So that is their own custom smart contract that they've actually built, yeah. And they're actually been pretty successful, and I believe they are now like launching a token or raising money or something like that. This is their website here, and then you can go to like launch app. They need to hire me as a designer or a designer because their design isn't that great, but I'm a big fan of this team. I believe they might even be from Argentina. No, they're from Chile, but they're from I guess the region you could say. But yeah, so using Zerf, you can, there's a bunch of different teams that have built like monetization stuff, but here you can say, hello world, I want to promote this, and then you set all the different things that you want. So I open source. So if you go to my GitHub, you can also go to my Twitter and my Lens. I linked the code base here as well as the app here. And you can kind of check that out. For the workshop, I'm just going to see if this app runs. And then I'm going to walk through a little bit of code, and then we'll be done. This is not going to be as pretty of an app as the other one, and it might not even work. But let's see if it works. Oh, it works. Okay, cool. So I wanted to just walk through what the most simple application could possibly be on Lens. And I did that with this workshop. So what we have here is very similar to what I showed you earlier, but I'm not using ShadCN. So it tells you a big night and day difference by having a good design library, what it looks like. This is very ugly, but it's really simple to build. You can get this view, which is kind of the boilerplate base view of something like Twitter. So if I go to Twitter and I go to my profile, you can see like I have my followers here, and I have a way to follow someone and like see their information. It's kind of similar to this view. The main difference is like I am actually showing the publication that person had last, whereas this is only showing that. So to get that, what we did was we installed Lens Protocol React, and maybe 2 or 3 other dependencies that we outline that are sub-dependencies, peer dependencies. And then we call this hook here. And we just say const data is equal to use explore profiles. And what you now have is an array that you can map over. And then you can also say loading or error. And you can also pass other arguments here. So I could say sort criteria would be here. Would be profile sort criteria dot whatever. So here's the different sort criteria. You can say most comments, most followers, latest created, whatever. And then this is just going to return a data set. You can return up to 50 elements. If you need more than 50, you have to paginate, which we also offer. In the resulting data, you'll have the, actually, no, it's going to be next, I think. Yeah. This next will be like a cursor that you can then invoke to get the next list. But if you need like hundreds or thousands in a single query, you can use BigQuery. Might be a little bit slower and also a little bit behind the API. Okay, cool. So that's kind of it. I would be happy to answer any questions once this is over with. And again, if you want to kind of like check out any of the links that I shared, the QR code here is that. So thank you. Do I have time for questions here, or do I take them down there? Here? Okay, does anyone have any questions? Yes.
It's closed. Thank you. It's closed as a marketing strategist or what?
Yeah, that's a good question. If you go to lens.xyz, we now have a waitlisting app that we just opened up a few weeks ago that we're now allowing people to sign up and get a handle. But in the past, it was very, very closed beta. The reason it's closed beta, and it still kind of is a closed beta, but we're opened up more now than we were before, Two reasons. One was scalability. We were on Polygon, and Polygon, just like most blockchains actually that exist today, max out at around a couple of hundred transactions per second before you start getting really having scaling issues, not only with the performance, but the cost. What was ending up happening, because we're not the only app on Polygon either, right? A traditional database can handle millions of operations per second. Polygon is a shared blockchain. So we have been thinking through since I joined, actually. They had already been thinking it through back in October of last year. They started rebuilding the infrastructure in November. We launched a new infrastructure called Momoka about 2 months ago. Momoka scales from around 200 or so operations per second to 50,000. So we now fix that. After we fix the scalability issue, we're now opening it up more. And then the next thing is to resolve the Sybil resistance type of problem, because the handles are selling for $10, $50, $100 on OpenSea. So if we just opened it up for anyone to mint for free, then people would probably set up a script, claim 1 million handles, no one would have a handle. So in order to distribute these, we have a mechanism in place that's kind of like what Gitcoin Passport uses, scoring people's addresses along with our own proprietary algorithm for surfacing people, and we're whitelisting people. But what we're going to be doing in the next couple of months, or maybe towards the end of the year, which is, I guess, the next couple of months, is having a completely permissionless system for anyone just to sign up and get a handle. But the way that we do that is pretty complex, and we're still finalizing that. So hopefully that answered your question. Any other questions? Yeah? Oh, I need to add that. Yeah. Here, I'm going to add that now. Yeah, here, I'm going to do that. And it takes 2 seconds for me to do that, actually. Yeah, it's just going to be npm install, npm run dev.
Yes. Okay. So I'm thinking about search, about searching. Are you talk about semantic search, keyword search? I mean, hashtag, or even what's new here, the LLM models, and what about that as on search terms?
Yeah, we've implemented some of that stuff in different parts of, I would say our developer documentation is experimenting with that. We actually have a bot that is in our Discord for developers to ask questions about the documentation, but we don't really have a search API that uses anything like that for the protocol itself. But I think that might be something that someone could build and offer as a tool or something that would be something that maybe people would pay for, would be possibly a hackathon project that might be a good candidate, or even a grant project. But it wouldn't be something that we would probably support, I don't think. But if you want to see what we have so far, you can go to our Discord, check out the Tally bot, and it's basically an LLM on top of a vector database, whatever, search. So. Yeah, if you go to lens.xyz, there's a link to our Discord. Yeah. And I believe in the, here, also shared a link to, I think the Discord might be here maybe. So XYZ is the link there. So.
Are there any docs on actions for V2?
Oh, good question. So Danny mentioned actions, which is part of Lens V2. The smart contracts are already available for auditing. So we have a bounty of like, we got 100 or maybe 80 to 100 X thousand dollars. If you want to kind of like find any vulnerabilities, you can qualify for that. Part of that is something we call open actions, which is what he's referencing. All of the code for open actions is open source. It's there. We haven't documented it yet. We're going to be rolling out Lens V2 in 2 more steps. We had a total of 3 steps. First, the smart contracts. Number 2, what we're going to be rolling out very soon is the documentation and the testnet. So that way, developers already building on Lens can kind of start using it, and we can make sure that their apps are updated. And then after testnet's available for about a month, then we'll just essentially upgrade mainnet to also support it. What you can do with open actions is basically call any smart contract that exists from a Lens application in a single call. So what you can do is lend, borrow, DeFi integrations and interactions. You can collect on OpenSea and any other NFT marketplaces. You can do DAO stuff. So it's going to be. I think we're going to even have open. We're going to even have interactions cross-chain with other protocols as well. So that's going to be pretty cool. But the documentation for that will be out in maybe a week or 2. Cool. Well, thanks everyone for coming. I'll be down there. Me and Andrew are here. Thanks, Danny.